Okay, hi everyone, and welcome back to another friendly tech chat. Today we're gonna talk about something that I have been filling my early mornings with this December, and I did it last December as well, and that is Advent of Code. Yeah, so it's a worldwide programming competition in a sense. Well, it's basically a programming puzzle advent calendar. So every day from December 1st till December 25th, at in our time it's 6 a.m., but at the same time at the same moment for everyone actually. So um, I guess we're fairly lucky with our time zone. um, a puzzle unlocks, and then the sooner you fix it, the sooner you provide the right result, the more points you get, and then you can get points on a global leaderboard if you're really fast. But we have a company leaderboard, and that's fun.
And the points you're getting for simply passing the test and performance.
Providing the right answer, actually, it's set up in such a way that it's like a logical puzzle for which you probably need some form of programming to solve, and then you get an input, and you need to provide your output into a field that's just a number or a string, mostly a number usually. And if you provide the right answer, you get the point. So you don't really even need to program, but for most puzzles, you probably do.
Okay, and what's in it for you? Why are you so much interested in it?
So yeah, for me, it's a fun way to do programming without all of the heavy lifting. There's just like a clear target, a clear problem, and you have to provide a solution. That makes it a fun puzzle, and I also try to balance my code between something I can write fast and something that should still be fairly easy to understand. So to have have that drive in a competitive environment, it's a way to a different way to test my low-level coding skills.
Okay, so the pure programming coding without any of the surrounding things that more and more you get, the more and more you get into industrial enterprise development.
Yes, exactly.
And what
it's programming without politics, essentially.
Yeah, okay. You can say this politics. So no people around with whom to program this. But when you say that you are trying to keep it readable, is it only for yourself as your own goal? Because I guess humans are not evaluating your solution, do they?
No, yeah, that's true. But I push my solutions to GitHub, and then but I don't think anyone has ever looked at that. Maybe sometimes when I shared, I did this in a fun way or something. But I want to strive to always program in a way that it should be understandable for someone else. And by doing that in this place where it's really not necessary, I make it part of my automation, I internalize it essentially. So that's why I do that.
And you said
I can't say I always succeed though. Sometimes it's just okay. I take a shortcut that I regret, and sometimes I refactor that after the fact. But
that's also fine.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you do it in the mornings. Are they short and brief and simple enough?
Sometimes. Last year, I think there was, because it's every day. It's a two-part solution, and the first part is usually fairly trivial, and then the second part shows you why your first part is not smart enough to work at this skill. It's the second part is often where your laptop blows up if you use your first implementation. But sometimes it's just different complexity that builds on the first one. Last year, I think there was one solution that took me like 8-9 hours of thinking or something like that, and that was in a weekend somewhere. So that was probably more time than I should have spent on it. But this year so far, it's been easy half an hour half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that per
Yes.
solution.
So it's every day you have two parts for the same solution. First is simple, like trivial coding exercise, and second, take care of scale or performance or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's just a complication on the first one. Often it's scale, but also sometimes it's other things. Like, for example, this morning there was it was a bit of a complex one. This morning there was a jumbled up coding system that you had to decode, and the first part was find the trivial ones to figure out and how many are there, and the second part was okay, now actually decode the system and find out what the total sum of all the encoded numbers was.
And what languages do you use?
I do it all Kotlin. And this is actually also the only project I actively use the Kotlin Gradle DSL in, so that's fun.
But I guess you don't really need many dependencies, do you?
No. I was doing an old problem for from 2015 the other day. Did JSON parsing, so I added JSON as a dependency. But that's the first dependency I added. And of course, I have JUnit because sometimes I want to introduce unit tests to test part of my code.
So you say it's 2015. When did it start? Do you know? Because
2015 was the first year.
Okay, the first one was 2015.
Yeah.
And since
then... I did a couple of exercises in 2018, I think, and then last year was the first year that I went all out, and this year so far I'm 8 for 8.
And was it that much popular from the very beginning? Because I hear a lot about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have it open here. So the first year, I think I read a blog of the guy who set it up, Eric Whatzel or something. Eric, we'll look that up. That he was totally flabbergasted by the interest the first year. And if you look at the stats for the first year, there's 72,000 people who did the first solution, but then only 6,000 people who did the last solution. So.
Not natural funnel, I would say. It's a funnel.
No, yeah, exactly. But if you look at this year's numbers, it's already 175,000 people who did the first solution. So over 6 years, a 3x improvement. But yeah, mostly order of magnitude this popular since day one.
I hear also some people use it to learn new programming languages.
Yeah, and one of the questions that I wanted to address behind this is like, what is the use in general of these kinds of algorithmic puzzle-like programming competitions? And I think using this low-pressure environment to figure out the semantics of a new programming language is a really great use, because like these puzzles are crafted in a way that they benefit from using like smart data structures and stuff, and as such I think they're closer to what is often more like academic considerations of computer science than actual practical application of enterprise scale programming. But still, I think it's valuable for anyone to get some experience with algorithmic puzzles, because I do think knowing the algorithms and the data science behind, the computer science behind what we use every day, I think that has value.
Is it diverse enough in its own way, like by the type of the assignments, or is it more or less similar?
I think it's pretty diverse. And usually it gets harder over the days. I think this year so far has been pretty easy, but we're only 8 days in. So.
And you've been trained since 2015, so.
No. Last year was the first time I did it. I'm just catching up to 2015 because it's fun.
I see. And I guess since it's so popular, it's also very well done. So high quality assignments or tasks or whatever.
Yeah, so the guy doesn't accept help on tasks, but yeah, I think he does it really well.
So it's a one person who is doing this all.
Yeah, I think so.
I should admit I haven't got through the first web page. It's already cryptic enough for me with these lines and things are happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of ASCII art and stuff like that.
How do you find inspiration for still doing in your own free time extra programming on top of your regular work?
Maybe I find that inspiration in a lack of programming in my regular work.
Okay, so that's for diversion. Yes, okay, that's correct. So it might be a little bit more difficult for those who are really doing heavy lifting programming all the day.
Yeah, probably. I can imagine, but on the other hand, to me, it really is the fun parts of programming condensed, because it's really about this taking a problem and solving it. You don't have to worry whether the database under the hood is fast enough, which is fun in its own right. But I find it mostly fun if there's a puzzle to solve in that problem, and since this is only about the problems, it's like you in your work usually solve a problem like this maybe once every two weeks.
No, not bad rate.
No, I think that's pretty good. And here you solve 2 every day.
And what about competitiveness? What's your rank?
Oh, last year I ended 3rd at our company. That was, but I am nowhere near competitive on a global scale. Today for part 2 was my 2nd highest global rank ever, and I was like 1300, which I'm pretty proud of if you look at 175,000 people competing. But the points globally start at rank 100, so I'm nowhere near.
Points, how you get it? So it's time and correctness, or only time?
It's only time. Because correctness is black or white. You either provide the right answer or you don't. And after you've submitted a couple times wrongly, then you have to wait 1 minute between everyone, and then you have to wait 5 minutes. So you can't just like spam it with wrong answers.
Yeah, I'm not sure I will be myself participating, but I can easily imagine why people might want to do that. Is there anything useful for coding interviews to take from those examples?
Maybe.
Okay, then it's probably not something that would attract me. I thought that maybe for coding interviews, because I'm doing sometimes coding interviews and sometimes they completely freestyle, but no, apparently not.
Yeah, no, so if you have an interview that's kind of like solve this algorithmic challenge, then this will prepare you well, clearly. But,
so it's from the other side, like
from the other side, yeah, I'm not quite sure whether solve an algorithmic challenge is the right kind of interview.
Yeah, that's true. Not because that's not what we mostly do.
No, exactly. So the kind of interview this prepares you for is probably not the kind of interview you should be taking, in my opinion. So that's why I was like, yeah, if you're doing the wrong kind of interview, this prepares you well for it.
To recognize and but maybe you're going to academia or somewhere
and it prepares you well for other programming competitions.
Yes,
so if that's your jam, that's always fun.
Okay, so it's for programming competitions. Good.
Yeah, I really view it as a separate skill set in the end for programming. To me, this relates to programming like Sudoku relates to math. As in, it's actually just a really separate skill set, but it's also fun. But it's probably closer than those two because this uses the same tools under the hood. They get more familiarity with standard libraries and stuff like that.
So the final conclusions about Advent of Code.
I failed to convince you.
Well, it's about priorities, Either I can
Yeah.
edit one of our videos, or I can take a puzzle with Advent of Code, So
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Exactly.
But I guess for many people, for those who don't yet do this, we will link the Advent of Code, so you can take a look if you haven't heard of that yet. It has nothing to do with religion. It's just purely coding, because I was scared for a moment at the beginning. No, it's just coding in a pure form, problem solving in a fun and interesting way, and something that you can share with other people. Usually in companies there are some people already doing this, so you can do the competitiveness with them, and you can also, I know that on Slack of Kotlin there are lots of threads where people are solving those things together or separately, depending how they prefer it.
Yeah, and if you don't have a group to compete with and you're looking for one, leave us a comment and maybe we'll create one.
Ooh. And then I will have to participate.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And also, if you're curious for my solutions, we'll link the GitHub
yes
thing.
It's not for nothing that we were doing it all the time, right?
No.
Finally, we'll use it.
Yes.
Good.
All right. So thanks for watching. Leave a like and maybe subscribe if you like what we're doing. And see you next week.